video is about doing a cast on my Sentro Knitting Machine. And it is not hard to do a cast on. So today I'm going to be using a touch of alpaca for this project. You want to make sure when you do your cast on that your material is not chunky. That's the most important part. You want a medium weight yarn, about a size 4 in US terms. Okay, so you're going to want to use the crank on your machine to find the first peg. Now on the Sentro machine, the first peg is going to have number 1 on here. It's going to each peg has a number on it, and also it's going to show a white peg right here, which is going to indicate your last row. So to begin, my project is going to be done on tube, T for tube setting, because that's what my project is my pattern is going to call for. So with knowing that this white the peg is the last one, which would be peg 48, I'm going to start with peg 1 here, and we are not using this threader. We're just going to put it, we're going to take our material, and I like to personally put it in the middle here when doing cast-ons, but not when working with the project. I'll usually move my material over to the side, and I'm going to leave a tail, however long that you would like, 10 inches, 15, okay, and so now we have the tail in here, and we have our material down here, and we're going to place our thread into the machine. And I changed this angle, hopefully you can see it better. So I'm going to put this material into the machine right here and make sure that this goes under the hook right here, like that, under this hook right here, and that's how you want it to look. And then you're going to crank the handle, and then on the next peg you're going to go over, you're going to have the material on this side. You're not going to put it into the hook like how you did here. With doing the cast on, we have again the material in here and into the bottom of this hook, and then we are going, I changed the angle so hopefully you can see this well, and then we're just going to crank the handle, turn it, okay, and then we're putting this over the hook here on this side. Okay, so that it would be peg number 2, and then peg number 3 is going to go into the front of the hook, just like that, and then over, and then you're going to be repeating this until you get to the end of your round, your 48 pegs. you want to go slow when you're working with your machine. You don't want to go fast because when you're making your project, because you're going to get drop stitches. That is not a good idea because then you have to fix the drop stitches if you can. And sometimes you might even have to pull out all the stitches or even start over. Unless you don't want that. So go slow at a comfortable speed and make sure that when you are doing your project after you finish the cast on, that for the Sentro machine, that your thread is going in this hook right here, just like that. And you'll know what speed to go. After a while, you'll get more comfortable with it, and you'll be able to go faster if you wanted to, once you get more comfortable with working with the machine. Almost done. The cast on. This is going very well. Okay, so we just finished the cast on. Now you want to think, what is this going to look like before you start round one? And you're going to want, I'll show you how this is going to look. See how you have this thread going across two pegs? Well, that's how you want it to look. You want it to look like you have thread going across the two pegs on the bottom. That's the look that you're going to have when this is completed, and you'll know that this has been done correctly. You have your thread down here at the bottom, and it's going across two pegs like that, and then a little bit of space, and then across two pegs, and a little bit of a space, and across two pegs. That's how you know that you have done this correctly. If you're enjoying my music, this is from my main page, Tiffany Juliet, where I have my beautiful harp music and cooking recipes and ASMR videos. And it is very nice to listen to my music while you are using your knitting machine or crocheting or knitting or loom knitting. It's very relaxing with scenic pictures of the Caribbean, and it's just very nice to listen to and watch. Okay, so now we have done row one. Well, it's not necessarily to think of this as row one. Your cast on is not really row one. It's just putting the material onto your machine. So from here, you're going to start row one. This notch right here where my yarn needle's indicating right there. That's where you want it for your Sentro machine. And if you know that the material's going under each one of these pegs, you're not going to get the drop stitches. You're going to, I'm glad I remembered. Okay, so to thread your machine, you're going to want to put it in your threader here, like that. You're just going to put it in through your threader, and you're going to want to put it on your tension. Your tension is, this would be, see if I can get this better. Okay, so here's your tension. And based upon what type of thread you're using is going to go on here. If you have a very heavy thread, which I highly suggest not, you would use this one. If you have a medium thread, you put it in the middle. A light thread, you would use this tension. And you just can't trust that of this being in tension and that's going to be okay. And you just keep on going through your rounds. You're going to want it here, and I'm doing mine in the middle, and then when I'm working, I'm going to be holding on to it also with my hand, very lightly, just holding on to it. I'm not really pulling it hard, I'm just holding on to it, the thread, and and guiding the material from my fingers on and letting it pull through my fingers, up the tension, and up through here onto the machine. This is very important because if you don't do that and you're just letting your material hang, you're going to get dropped stitches. You don't want dropped stitches. That is like the worst thing that could possibly happen with your project, is getting dropped stitches. And I'm going to post a video on how to get rid of drop stitches and how to fix that. But if you're doing a project and you have about 5 rows of drop stitches, you may want to rethink about redoing the project over again. But if you only have like one spot where there's drop stitches, then you can just manually go through with it and fixing it with your crochet hook. And I will post a video onto my page soon on how to do that. Okay, so now we're going to hold on to this, and we are just going to let the material go through. I usually like to put my material on the side like this. Put it through the tension and make sure that it goes through down in here. Okay. And sometimes it will come out. Sometimes the material will come out of the tension. That's because you're possibly holding the material too taut. So you are just going to go like this until you get to however many rounds that you want to go through for your project. And you're just going to crank the machine, the handle, very slowly. Making sure that the material is going through the hook. Okay, so here is another angle view of working in the round. And you can see that with the Sentro machine. Now, if you have an adding machine, it's not going to work exactly like this. But you can see that the material, which is right here, is right under this hook. And that's exactly what you want. So I moved the camera for you to see this a little bit better. And you can watch how it goes through each hook. And when you're doing your project, you want to watch every peg to make sure that each the yarn goes through every one of here under this peg. See how it's going under each one. Now, I usually work faster than this when I'm on my machine, but this is just for the video. As you can see each one going under. And that's what under the peg, under that little needle, under that hook. And that right there, making sure that material goes through in the correct spot is what's going to give you success on your projects. Okay, so we are now going to round 2. And my counter says that, actually says 001, but when I get to the end of this round, it'll say 2. And always remember to hold on to your material and lightly just let it go through your hands. Remember that there is no hurry, because even when you go on the slowest setting, like what we're doing right now, it's still incredibly fast, faster than hand knitting. And we do have this on tube, T for tube, which means it goes all the way around and around and around. It's not a panel. A panel is when you would have it go across as many pegs as you want it to go. It wouldn't go all the way around. Then it turns in the opposite direction and it goes back to where you began. So we just finished round 2 and we're getting ready to go on round 3. And you want to take your material, your yarn, and give this some slack here. You don't want to make it tight where you're going very tight through the tension. Not a good idea, because you want to make sure that you don't get drop stitches. But if you do get a drop stitch, no big deal. You can always redo the project over again, or you can go into there and just manually fix it. So we're just watching this, making sure that it's going into each peg here. And it does take a little while to get to know your machine, whether you are using an Addy or a Sentro. So get to know your machine if this is your first project. And I would suggest using a swatch, make swatches of small things, and learn how to do things on your machine, like changing yarn color and making stripes, and like if you wanted to do leg warmers with stripes in it, or a scarf with stripes. And start with that. Get to know your project, get to know your machine, get to know how to do certain things. So when you start a big project, you're pretty confident in your machine, and you know what you're doing. And now we have gotten to round 3. So that's how you're going to do this. It's very easy. But the key is to know your machine. And once you know your machine, your projects get done very quickly. I'm very happy with this machine. I really like it. I like making scarves with this machine. And then I like to add on to my projects. I like to add on crocheting to it. I always like to do more than just knitting. I usually like to knit and then have a crochet on, something crocheted with it. I had made a heart, and I had loom knitted, and then I crocheted a border around it, and it just turned out so pretty. I just really like having two different types of crafts in a project. And if you want to know how to do that, I do have many tutorials on how to crochet or use the loom if you wanted to. Or you can just knit with your machine, and whichever you prefer, whatever you like to do. Because it's all about your enjoyment and relaxation while knitting or crocheting or loom knitting. It's a therapy or relaxation, never being stressed about it. Because if you get stressed, you're not going to want to do the project. So we are on round 5. And we're just going to keep on going, and I'm watching every time it goes across this peg here to make sure that that material is going through. Now when I'm done making this video, I'm going to sit down and work on this. It's better if you're sitting, because then you can hold the tension better and the material won't come off the tension. And that is how you do this. And I hope that this video has helped you, and given you some great ideas on projects that you want to do and future projects. And thank you for watching. And please consider subscribing to my page. I really appreciate that, and liking my page, and you'll receive updates of my most current videos when you do that. Okay, so we're almost at the end of round 6. And it's just so nice to have materials and projects that you've made by hand. And then when you open up your closet and you look at all the beautiful things that you've made, there is just it's a good feeling to know that you have made this project. And then you wear it, and I always get compliments. Sorry about this tension. I always get compliments on when I make a project. Almost every time I go out, somebody comes up to me and tells me how much they like my projects, my hats, to wear hats. And that's fun. And you get to tell them that you made it. And that is very exciting. And thank you for watching.